What is up, everybody? Welcome to what I guess is technically a Thursday, but feels like a Friday. It's going to be a long weekend, and wanted to come on, see how everybody is doing, see if you guys have any questions, anything you want to chat about. For whatever reason, today I am feeling the burn of the total disconnect from humanity. And so, yeah, just coming on to say what's up, answer some questions. If you there's an official way to ask questions, and if you do that, I will get the question on my side, and I will happily answer that question for you. So I see we got some peeps submitting questions. Let's see, here's the first one up. Neffy says, hi, how do I scale my art business? I do portraits by pencil. My man, I'm telling you right now, or my woman, whichever. Apologize, I can't tell from the name or from the avatar there, but the key right now is NFTs. And secretly, that's what I want to talk about right now. I am so fucking on fire for NFTs. The one, that world is on fire, and two, and I'm saying that now after NFTs have taken a huge dip, I still promise you that it's the future. And real art, physical art, suffers from the geography equation. So people have to see it if it's physical. They have to be in the same space to see it, I should say, is a better way. With NFTs, now we're talking bits and bytes. We're talking binary code. And it can be seen anywhere, instantaneously, around the world. It is fucking extraordinary. It is a revolution. So, yeah, that would be number one. And then social media. Social media fucking changed everything. It changed the world. It changed the world. Like, we live in an era where literally right now, you guys are essentially chilling with me in my house during a pandemic. Although, theoretically, that's over-ish. So that's fucking amazing. And every now and then I like to remind myself of how utterly transformational that is. So, word. That's what I would do. Maggie says, hi, Tom. How do you stay consistent when you have self-doubt and a fear of failure? All right, so here it is. Boys and girls, I'm begging you, please understand about your mind. Know what it does. So everybody has self-doubt. That's the way your brain works. Your brain is trying to make sure that you don't get eaten by a fucking tiger. So your brain is designed to go, ooh, are you sure that going into that bush is a good idea? Are you sure you want to walk away from the group? Are you sure you want to climb that tree? Are you sure you want to go in the water? And now you take us off the, plains of the savannah, and all of a sudden it becomes, we're living in an ultra modern, convenient world, and it's still throwing up those same things. Oh, you sure you want to put out that art? You sure you want to go for that raise? You sure you want to pull your boss aside? You sure you want to, tell your husband or wife that XYZ thing upset them? And all that negativity comes flooding in. Understand that you don't have to listen to it, that just because you have an emotion does not mean it's real. Okay? There's a region of your brain called the deep limbic system. Its entire job in this fucking world is to tell you not what's happening, but how to feel about what's happening. Now, here's the thing that really fucks it up. If that thing gets inflamed through diet or hormonal changes, it will paint things as negative. So, as I so love to quote my boy Shakespeare, nothing is either good or bad, but thinking makes it so. Now, you have a region of your brain allocated to telling you whether something is positive or negative, and when it gets inflamed, it tells you shit is negative by default. Now, imagine if that got inflamed and told you shit was rad. That'd be way better. But alas, it does not. So yeah, I just don't listen to it. I understand I'm goal-oriented. Whatever my goal tells me to do, then I have to fucking do. All right, best or worst advice you have ever received. The best piece of advice I got from my father-in-law, and I'm sad to report that I ignored it for 3 years. I subsequently apologized for ignoring it. And it goes like this. If you want to succeed, then know more about the given situation than anybody else. Know more about the opportunity, the possibilities, the people, just everything about that situation. And if you go into a situation far better equipped, then you're going to win. And getting people to understand, so I'm going to come back to NFTs, partly because I'm obsessed and partly because it is such a fucking good example. Okay, the reason I'm going to win in NFTs is because I'm spending the vast majority of my time in the technology. Now, why is that useful? Because if I don't understand the technology, then all I can do is copy other people. If I understand the technology and I'm solving problems from first principles, now I'm not reasoning from example or analogy. I'm reasoning up from the realities of the technology. So whenever you can operate from first principles, everything gets better because now you can solve a novel problem. Now you can do something truly original. And that's how you end up leading. So that is extraordinarily good advice that I got from my father-in-law, Andreas. Shout out. I know I scared you in the beginning, but I think I've made up for it. All right. Let's see here. This is from Luminary. My B-Day is tomorrow, my bro. Any advice for a 29-year-old? Yes, this is the advice. It's the same. I don't give a shit what your age is. You're 95 and you have 7 seconds left to live. My advice is get better at something that matters to you, something that is exciting and something that is honorable. Those are the two mandates I would highly advise you to put on your own goals, that they are exciting, meaning you just fucking love pursuing that thing, and they are honorable, meaning they uplift you and other people. If you focus on those two things, life will be fucking awesome. And remember, skills have utility. So they let you do things. Now, that sounds like trite advice, but that is arguably the most powerful thing anyone is ever going to remind you of. That if you get good at something, and the example that I love to use, Kobe Bryant has a quote, "Boos don't block dunks." Now, what he meant by that, or what I like to think he meant by that, is you can get so good at something that even when the other team is paid millions of dollars to stop you from doing something, if you're so good that you can outperform them, they actually can't stop you from doing it. Kobe Bryant scored, and this is not a mistake, 81 points in a single game by himself. 81 points. The other team was paid millions of dollars to stop him from doing it, and he scored 81 fucking points. There are games where there's only 85 or 90 points scored. So the fact that one person was able to score 81 points in a single game is baffling, but is such an extraordinary example of what it means to be so much better than the competition that you just literally dunk on everybody. So yeah, that's my advice. At 29, man, it's fucking head down. It's get good at something. And I am extraordinarily grateful for the fact that I spent almost 20 years in business before I ever stepped in front of a camera. And for that reason, I had to fight through all of the bullshit and the insecurities and getting control of my mind and my emotions and learning business as a skill set before I had to speak on the shit. So now I actually know what the fuck I'm talking about. I know everything I say, I know has worked at least once. So there you go. All right, that would be my advice. All right, submit them questions and I will pull them. All right, All American Tribe says, at 22 years old, what were you doing? This is going to be painful to list. What advice would you give a young financial entrepreneur to becoming successful? All right, this is crazy. We're living through a really, really fascinating time where you now have like teenagers and shit learning about finance, learning about investing. Look, we have our set of problems. This is a pretty fucking thrilling time to be alive. The fact that if you invested, let's get real crazy. I don't know shit about investing. Let's start with that. But I know an opportunity when I see one. If you had invested in Bitcoin, say a year ago, or God willing, 4 years ago, the return on that investment would be insane. And the excitement factor of cryptocurrency and money going digital and all that has suddenly got young people focusing on investing and things like that. That's fucking amazing. All right, anyway, that's all tangential to the question. The question is, what was I doing at 22? At 22, I was laying in bed for 5 hours every morning because I had completely lost faith in my ability to make my dreams come true. I had gone to film school. I had done very well in film school, but in my senior thesis, I fucked everything up. And I realized, not delusionally, I was accurate. I realized that I did not have talent as a filmmaker. The unfortunate thing is I didn't realize that it didn't matter, that I could have become skillful had I put my time and attention into that, but I didn't. I went into panic mode, and I was alternating between laying in bed, laying on the floor. And I mean, look, that wasn't my entire life. Of course, I was also like going out and hanging out with friends, but it was a real period of desperation. And it wasn't until years later when I spent years like selling video games retail and working dead-end jobs, selling insurance door-to-door, being a telemarketer. This is all after I graduated from college, by the way, not knowing what the fuck I was going to do with my life. Managed to convince this amazing woman to marry me. And as we're engaged, her father, first of all, didn't want me to marry her. And in that, like, became this really sort of eye-opening thing where I realized I'm telling my then fiance that one day I was going to make her rich. I'm telling my father-in-law that I'm ultra ambitious and that one day I'm going to make his daughter rich. But in reality, I'm laying in bed. And it became so shame-inducing that the shame ended up propelling me forward. And this is why every now and then I'll post something on Instagram like, hey, don't rule out the role of pain. Don't rule out the role of self-punishment. You have to be careful. I get it. Trust me. You don't want to beat yourself up. But at the same time, you can't just ignore when you're doing things that make you think less of yourself, you need to fucking change. And holding yourself accountable to that is really fucking critical. So yeah, at 22, I was a total fucking, I won't say anything negative about who I was. I will just say that I was lost and scared. And I had not yet understood the power of the mind to change. I didn't yet have what I call the only belief that matters, which is that if you put time and energy into getting better at something, you will actually get better. Full stop. That is the design of the human animal. If you put time and attention into gaining a set of skills, you will gain those skills. And so if you put enough time and attention, then you can do whatever the fuck you want. Are there limitations? Yes, of course there are. But focusing on your limitations would be a catastrophic waste of your time because you're just never going to run into them in a meaningful way, I guess is to finish that thought. All right, next question. Randomly chosen. All right, this comes from Vifostesla. Why do people not know which direction to take? This is actually a really interesting question that has a very powerful answer. So here is the reality about the human condition. There's something about our brains where nothing seems quite right. And I imagine it comes from the need to weigh options. And because there are always so many different paths that you could take, you have to have a mechanism for deciding between those two. Now, the way that we do that is with the emotion centers of our brain. Now, here's the fucking fascinating thing. If you selectively damage the region of somebody's brain that handles emotions, they will be normal in every fucking way. You'll be sitting there having a conversation. You will not know anything is wrong with them until you ask them to make a decision. The second you say, hey, where should we go for lunch? Which drink should we have? Whatever. They will fucking break down because there is no emotion there to give them the answer. So when you get sort of lukewarm emotions from things, which is the default answer, because to build an intense emotional response, you must engage in the process of adding sort of an amplitude of enthusiasm to something. It does not happen automatically. It often happens when we're young, which is why people confuse it and think that it happens automatically. But of course, 1,000 years ago, I would not have had a secret desire to have an iPhone, right? I would know what the fucking iPhone is. So I wouldn't be able to desire it because it doesn't exist. So now you realize, oh, we're just primed to desire something. And then we go through a process of deciding what to desire. Deciding what to desire, boys and girls, which oftentimes we decide to desire because it's the thing that the people that we respect desire. That's why people FOMO into shit, because we want to be like the people that we respect. So that is the key. So a lot of things, you're going to look at all these options before you, and you're not going to know which way to go because you don't have a strong emotion in any direction because you have not yet decided to build intensity in one of those directions. So here's the answer. First, don't prematurely optimize. Go experience a bunch of shit. Nothing will give you that first glimmer of like, ooh, this is kind of cool. This gives me more energy than it takes. Like actually just going out and experiencing it. You're not going to be able to think your way to it. You need to go do some shit. So go do some shit. That's going to be sort of key number one. Now, once we start doing things, then over time, the thing that continues to give us more energy, the more we engage with it, that's going to be something that indicates an area that you want to point yourself at, spend more time, get good at, etc., etc. Now, you get into this really cool feedback loop when you get good at something that allows you to serve yourself and other people. It's what I call this reciprocal relationship. Now, the better you get at it, and remember, you're enjoying the process of getting good because you picked that thing that gave you a little bit more energy than it took. As you get better and can serve not only yourself but other people, you now get all this feedback from people telling you, oh my God, like that was amazing. Now, out of this desire to get those accolades, then you do it more, you love it more, and it's a very virtuous cycle. All right. Let's see what we have this time. Laura says, how to pare down your to-do list when you have so many things you want to accomplish. Okay, you and I live in the same universe because this is my problem. I don't have the problem of, not wanting to do anything. There are too many things that I'm deeply, fanatically passionate about for me to do in one life, let alone too many things that I love, let alone too many things that I'm interested in. It's just a laundry list. So now you're going to look for what Tim Ferriss calls the lead domino. I think this is a brilliant concept. So, all right. There are things I want to do in my life. So first of all, decide what is going to be the mission of your life. Now it can change. I've had multiple missions in my life. These are decisions. They are things that you invest in by telling other people, by telling yourself, by embodying an emotional amplitude. It's outside the scope of this answer. Otherwise, I'll derail forever on that idea. So you invest in that thing and you say, this is going to be the mission, the very meaning of my life is this thing. And as you build that, now we're sort of narrowing that window down already of just, there are only so many things that are going to lead to that thing. Now, we found that mission the same way that we worked on our desire, right? We went and engaged with things, we did things, and we saw which ones gave us more energy than they took. We continued to invest in those. And then finally, one day we just say, this is the fucking mission of my life. So for me, the mission of my life is to make sure that nobody makes it to the age of 15 without encountering a growth mindset. And I want to do that at scale through storytelling. So there we go. Now, 10 years ago, that wasn't my mission. 10 years ago, it was about ending metabolic disease. So you can repoint yourself at something. So don't worry if you start going down a path and you're like, this ended up not being as interesting as I thought it would be, then just go back and try something else. If you find yourself doing that constantly, then you have a grit problem. And I highly encourage you to read the book, Grit by Angela Duckworth. And she will give you the exact formula of what you need to do to make sure that you can stay the course. Because let me tell you, boredom kills way more dreams than fear or failure. All right. I don't know what this says, but the beginning of it seemed intriguing. All right, Rachel says, I want to meet the right man. I've done the work on myself, but I'm meeting men that are just looking for the wrong thing. Where are those men? Okay, so meeting the right person is definitely not an easy task. So I don't want you to confuse anything that I'm about to say with me thinking that this is an easy game. But the reality is that it is a numbers game. And if you meet enough people and you are aggressively yourself, which is my best piece of advice to people, one of the greatest things that happened between Lisa and I is we both thought the other person was just going to be a fling. So we didn't see any reason not to be aggressively ourselves. And by being aggressively ourselves, we were able to actually happen to attract the right person. Now, also, I will say, and this is a very delicate conversation, Rachel, and so obviously I don't know you, and you only know me in as much as you've seen me on social media, but I promise you that my heart is in the right place. So I want you to walk along this very dangerous exploration with me, knowing that I mean well in the most aggressive way possible. When you say that men only want one thing, or they want the wrong thing. I assume we mean sex, that this is, they're operating on the basis of sex in the beginning. That the woman that is now my wife and that I've been with for almost 21 years, all I wanted in the beginning was to get laid. That was it. I wanted to get laid. She was hot, and that was that. And that's nature. Nature cares about one thing and one thing only. And when you embrace that nature only cares about one thing, then things get easier to navigate. So here's what nature wants. Nature wants to make sure that you have kids that live long enough to have kids. That's it. It doesn't give a shit about anything else. And it uses pleasure and pain to make sure that that happens. So the male brain is hardwired. Okay, there's 50% of us is hardwired, 50% is malleable. We are hardwired to seek signs of fertility. They prompt in us a neurochemical cascade that is desire. Desire is fucking rad. It's intoxicating. And one of the greatest human tragedies is as we age, the hormonal imbalance that causes a diminution of that desire, of that hunger. And oddly enough, not having the desire, not having the hunger on both sides, male and female, is devastating. And when you hear people lament as they get older, that's one of the things that they lament. So the key is to not be traumatized that the person is over-indexing on an interest in sex, especially if we're talking somebody that's, say under 35, they're going to over-index on sex. So now the question is, how do we do that dance? How do we live in that friction of, okay, I understand that that's sort of the mechanism by which the person moves forward, right? So it's an easy way to get a guy to sort of take interest is that level of sexual attraction. How do we not let it spill into pathology? So I'm fascinated by this idea of on both sides of literally every issue is pathology. So you can be like too nice, right? And be disingenuous, and it becomes pathological to pretend that you don't have any desire or try to squelch your desire or demand of the other sex that they not have desire. And it's pathological on this side where it's like, well, I'm just into sex and you have to fucking deal with it, right? Or to be aggressive or to grope somebody or to, make them feel uncomfortable. Both are pathological. So this is not me saying, hey guys, it's natural for you to want sex and therefore you can be a dick. Like that doesn't make any sense either. But it's living in that friction of like, moms and dads, if anybody young is listening right now is the time to turn this off. But I'm utterly fascinated by what sex is. Like really just everybody in their own time, in their own mind, imagine what the actual act of sex is. That's like crazy. So we're moving from, hi, my name is Tom, to, in the case of a sexual relationship, to that. And it's like, fuck, how do you navigate that, man? That is some crazy shit. And to not understand sort of the what nature's got going. So like on the female side, what you're up against is, I forget who came up with this term, but I think it's genius, the private eye. So when you think about the dance between the sexes from that perspective, you've got evolutionarily speaking, the man is incentivized to procreate as much as he can because there's very little cost to procreation for the man. Whereas the woman is incentivized to make sure that that person is going to stick around long enough to make sure that they're helped from a resource perspective and that the child is helped from a resource perspective, right? So nature cares about one thing, that you have kids and that they live long enough to have kids. So you've got this like dance between the sexes, and it is utterly fascinating and can be navigated well when we're not judgmental of the other side, right? For a long time, I was very traumatized that dealing with straight women was far more frustrating than it seemed like gay guys had a much easier time. I had some very good friends that were gay, and I was just like, God damn, I wish that women were as easy to sort of communicate and get on the same level as. Once I got over the frustration and just started saying, okay, this is the perspective that evolution has given women, and the more that I understand it, the more that we can navigate this thing. And so now if you heard my wife and I talking, it's always hilarious because we're trying to talk so open and so honestly that sometimes it sounds a little bit ridiculous. But in having those like really naked conversations, it has become far easier to actually connect. Okay. Now, unfortunately, given the nature of Instagram, I have no idea, Rachel, if you bailed long ago because you are absolutely horrified by the things I was saying. But all I can tell you is, one, I believe what I'm saying. Two, I'm always open-minded to learning something new. And three, that my heart is in the right place. I really want to see people be able to navigate every important area of their life successfully. And relationships, it's the single most rewarding thing you will ever do. And I'm saying that as somebody that's reached the height of financial success, that's got millions of social followers, and nothing, man, compares to my wife hugging me just yesterday. My wife hugged me and told me she was proud of me for something that I was super excited about. And I'm getting emotional now just thinking about it. Nothing in business has ever touched me like that. So, relationships are not easy, but they are well worth every bit of energy that you put into them. All right. Do a couple more. I'll try to speed roundy this a bit more, and then I gotta go. All right. Adrian, what type of mindfulness practice do you gravitate towards the most? So I am really basic in my meditation practice. I do box breathing, and I try to just focus on my breath. I don't try to think positive things or anything like that. I do that in my daily life constantly. So because my belief system is so solid and so at my fingertips, when I'm doing mindfulness, it is literally just to be in the moment. So I listen to the sounds of nature on my headphones when I meditate, and I just try to be right there present with it. Very, very simple. Don't overly complicate that. All right, let's scroll to the bottom. I never know if the top is new or the bottom is new. Okay, the bottom I've seen before, so maybe the bottom is the old shit. All right. Here's one. Baya. Oh, it disappeared. I don't know what that means. Can people retract their question? Is that a thing? This is Rue22. How to soothe myself, turning 30 with no boyfriend, feeling way behind in life. All right. So here is my rule about feeling that kind of negative thing. You need to ask yourself only one question. Does it help you get to your goal? So if your goal is to live a joyful life, let's say fulfillment, whatever, find love, as specific as we want to get, will sitting there feeling bad on your 30th birthday lead you to what you want? My estimation is maybe very briefly, in just enough to make sure that you take action, right? So going back to what I said at the beginning of this, I needed a bit of shame to finally develop drive to see my ambition through. But for the most part, it's really, really limited in its scope of usability. So we only stay in that place for as long as it is useful, and then we immediately move over to something that's going to be useful, which is always going to be taking action, which is going to be optimistic, staying positive, looking at the ways that we can improve to become more desirable, right? To look at ourselves and say, okay, cool. What do I need to do in order to be more desirable to the kind of people that I want to attract, or whatever it is that I'm trying to accomplish in my life? And then do that thing. And action cures all, right? I very rarely speak in bumper stickers, but I will tell you this. Action cures all. So if you're feeling low, you're feeling anxious, whatever, go take action towards improving on that thing, and you will be shocked at how much better that makes you feel. And whenever in doubt, if you're feeling badly about yourself, go help somebody else. It is startling how powerful that is. All right. As a leader, have you ever felt you are being dragged down by your employees' partners? Yes, but it's an optical illusion. The reality is that you're not doing something that you need to do in order to motivate them, move them forward, whatever. And so once I look only at myself and I say, okay, what do I need to change in order to get the result that I want to get? And that may be some people have to be let go. There's no question that there have been times where I just plain had the wrong person on the team and I had to let them go. But at the end of the day, I was the one that hired them. At the end of the day, I was the one that hadn't yet fired them, and I hadn't inculcated people with the culture enough, whatever. So taking responsibility on that is always the right answer. All right. Again, we're just doing some speed roundy stuff here. Balsam Butterfly, what qualities do you typically observe in strong leaders? People that can intoxicate other people with certainty. People that are always willing to change when better information comes along. People that are learners in everything that they do. People that do not value themselves for being right ever. They value themselves for identifying the right answer and pursuing it faster than anybody else and leading from the fucking front. So being a hardcore motherfucker that people respect because they see you grinding it the fuck out, that you were in there, that you were getting results, that you were getting better day after day, and despite being just hardcore, you are elevating those around you. That is what it's all about. Word. All right. think we'll make this the last one. Then I got to bounce. What's a good one? All right, we'll just pick one at random. I don't want to waste all of your time. All right, this could be terrible. I have no idea. It's long. We'll see. It's Curtis, y'all. Heyo, I'm living with an old friend who is very similar to me. Thus, we're not progressing with each other. I see. I have another old friend who's offering me a great job opportunity in another state. My question is, should I stay or should I go? Okay, so I would say you need to be utterly fearless in life. Take chances. Moving to another state is not like editing your DNA and it could go wrong and fucking kill you. You go to the new state, and if it sucks, you can always move back. And so, yeah, I would say fucking take risks, boys and girls. Don't allow yourself to get to the point where you're so afraid of something going wrong that you're not willing to try. So you already know where you're at. You know what you're getting from that situation. So you need only ask yourself, is this where I want to be in 5 years? And if it is, then stay there. And if it's not, change something, whether it's moving to the new city, whether it's doing something new, getting new friends, moving out, whatever, go for it. Don't be afraid to fail. Let me say that again. Don't be afraid to fail. Why not, Tom? Failure sucks. The reason that you shouldn't be afraid to fail is because failure is the most information-rich data stream that there is. The reason that failure is so powerful is, one, there's nothing more instructive than taking action, actually being in there and doing things. Okay, you can't think your way to a lot of these answers. So you were just out there doing it in the first place. And then second, when you fail and it hurts emotionally, you trigger the areas of the brain that have to do with memory and focus. So now you've got this rich experience from acting. You've got the failure. So you saw what broke, what went wrong, and it hurts. So now memory and focus are triggered. And now you've got a better opportunity to try again, as long as you don't let the failure break you. So don't be afraid. Take chances. Try some crazy shit. You can hedge your downside. I'm not a burn the ships at the shore kind of guy, but take some chances. You'd be surprised. All right. Everybody in this community, thank you guys. I do not take you for fucking granted. Every single one of you matters to me. I'm here to serve. I'm grateful that you guys showed up. You are amazing. Thank you all for the questions and word. And to the person that's been rocking with me since Inside Quest, you are truly fucking word. All right, everybody, do dope shit. If you're not following me on Twitter and you want to know what I do sort of on a day-to-day basis, that's where I get into like the minutia of what I'm building. So if you want to learn about NFTs, what I'm doing in the anime world, what we're doing from a storytelling perspective, make sure you head over to Twitter, follow me at Bilyeu. And then if you were thinking about relationship stuff or you were on fire when I was going heavy on the sex talk there, make sure that you go to YouTube and follow Relationship Theory. Lisa and I have some of the most dope fucking relationship content ever, and people are sleeping on that shit because people don't know about it because I rarely promote it. But go check it out. It's fucking en fuego. All right, my people, I will speak to you later. Until next time, my friends, be legendary. Take care.